No time to make mistakes. The Integrity Racing League is less than a month away from the playoffs beginning for both the 2025 Ignite and Octane series. With that said, Monday night returns to regular season racing first, and we're glad to have you back live on FTN. This is the 18th race of the 2025 Integrity Ignite series. And when it comes to the summer stretch, this has been one of the most reliable and consistent races on the schedule year in, year out. Welcome back to the Northeast. This is Brooklyn, Michigan, at the Michigan International Speedway. Live on FTN Broadcasting, I'll be your host for tonight's event. I'm David Kreutz, commentating and producing as we are looking to a dogfight for the regular season champion. The championship race is a dogfight. Over the last 4 regular season races, the championship lead has switched hands 4 times, primarily between 2 teammates for JTM Motorsport, Thomas Bressi, who's now second in points, and the leading man of the championship, Matthew Thunhorse. Both of those drivers have already taken their times, and it looks like currently they're only separated by 12 one-thousandths of a second and a position on the racetrack. Thunhorse gets the better of Bressi in qualifying and sits 3rd place with 90 seconds left on the clock. It'll be Jack Drucker who has the provisional pole, Michael Araya then in 2nd, and we'll see if anyone else can change those numbers. Jacob Fife goes 14th. So far, 28 drivers have taken times, Calvin Filarski looking to be one of the last of which. Ethan Lane has not yet gotten on the circuit. We'll keep our eyes on the 39. Lane was able to get the job done, of course, in our All-Star race last Tuesday, where we ran not with the Xfinity cars or Next Gens, but with the Gen 4 stock cars. This was a track that was considered, but it was on the chopping block as we decided instead to move towards Charlotte. Filarski up the circuit and spinning. That will void his lap time. Lane is not on the track, but Jared Davis is. Jared was quickest in our first practice session of the day. And so now with 32 seconds on the clock, he's got to replicate those speeds if he even wants to get across the checkered flag to end his qualifying run with the lap time put in. 20 seconds left. This would be Jared's one and only lap, and he's looking to walk off qualifying by at least taking a top 10. His quick time in practice was a 38.349. And it looks like as he comes across the stripe, 38.891, Jared Davis, by over a 1/10 of a second, walks off qualifying. A remarkable lap and the only driver quicker than the 39-second threshold. What a lap from Jared Davis in the 19, and he does exactly what he set out to do. 1 lap was all he needed. Davis appears a Michigan ace as he takes qualifying by storm, and the number 19 team with a pole position, much needed. It is his 3rd on the season for the man, 9th in points. That was an electrifying lap without question. Jared Davis, well, I'll tell you this much, that was huge for Davis. Now, he's a driver who's been slipping down the top 10. He's got 1 win on the season. He's got, to this point, 5 top 10s, which of the top 10 drivers in points, that is the least of any of them, but he has 4 top 5s. He's been very efficient in those top 10s. They've been high-scoring results, but otherwise he's been very far out of the picture, especially for the last 2 months. He's looking to get himself back into the swing of things, and with a lap like that, well, I'll tell you this much, I think he did the job right then and there. We'll see if he can pull it together for the next 110 laps or so, but to start, that's fantastic. Now, qualifying is out of the way. 35 drivers have taken to Brooklyn, Michigan for tonight's festivities. Let's get to know each and every one of them with your starting lineup. Jared Davis grabs that pole position, and it's a remarkable lap. A 38.891 that puts him to the pole position out outright. Then from there, you're going to have Jack Drucker. Drucker is going to take the outside pole. That's the number 56 car. Second place with Michael Araya, your defending Octane Series champion. He's right there. He's in third. Matthew Thunhorst, P4. Braxton DeWeese is going to take fifth. Your defending Ignite Series champion. The champs are lined up on that inside with sixth place being Thomas Bresci. JTM Championship rivals, the 8 of Thunhorst and the 24 of Bresci. They're lined up right with each other. They'll be 4th and 6th. 7th place on the order, Ronnie Osmer in the 55 and Blake Gordon, then 13 Machine is 8th. Vinny Tigner and DJ Stagner, both very strong. They've gotten themselves up now. 9th and 10th to conclude the top dozen, Justin Morton and Hunter Madalenas. There, the end of the top dozen, 11th and 12th. 13th and 14th are Brant McClendon with Elliot Henderson. Then from there, you're going to have Nicholas Ward, Tom Wetmore, Matt Sisler, Jacob Fife. Those drivers round out to 18th. 19th and 20th will be Josh Christman and Nick Tarbuck. You'll have then 21st in Cody Smith, 22nd in Ryan Potter, Gael Brooks and Casey Shue go down the line to 24th, and the final man in your top 25 is going to be Seb Miller. Will Riker, Brandon Bernhardt, Josh Gallagher, Tyler Hensley, and Kyle Cooper go down to 30th. And your final drivers, Ethan Lane, who chose not to take a time. These drivers all didn't take times. Sam Nieto, Steve Durham, Boomer Logan, and Calvin Fularski. For your 35 drivers in Motor City, it's a stacked, packed field, and the talent is through the roof. It'll be Jared Davis with the fastest time by more than 1/10 of a second, grabbing his third pole position of the 2025 Ignite Series season. We're less than 5 minutes away from getting things going in Michigan. That is your starting lineup. Less than 5 minutes indeed. Only 1 minute and 21 seconds left in this practice session, which means most drivers have already got their final reps in. Resting the number 24, making his way through here. Looking at the timing chart, going to be pretty representative of some of those top qualifying guys, Drucker and Bresci, who are both qualified inside the top 10. They are 2nd and 6th respectively, have taken the top 2 spots in this little running. But these will be quicker times for the most part. Practice was indicative of that. Jared Davis, while he put down the qualifying time needed for the pole position, it's 1/2 tenth slower than the fastest time that he put in. 1/2 second slower, actually, the fastest time he put in first practice. So the laps you're looking at here, they're good, but when everyone's together, all 35 drivers, they're going to be running significantly quicker speeds. Draft is significant at Michigan. It's a lot like Auto Club Speedway, a track we have visited already on the schedule beforehand, and with that being said, I think you're going to see that high-speed racing attitude come into play again. We've seen some tricky races with the SuperSpeedways this year. Auto Club always turns out well, but it could get dicey once again. The ovals have been pretty random in that sense. Jack Drucker, fastest man in final practice. Thomas Bresci, Tom Wetmore, Ronnie Osmer, not too far behind. And so now, we are just moments away from ringing you to the green flag from Michigan. Last time we went at it, of course, it was Auto Club Speedway, this style of track anyway. And you know who won that race? It was Blake Cannon. Jack Drucker got the better of him at Daytona, but it was eventually Cannon who got the job done at our other 2-mile track, very similar in nature to the circuit you're looking at right now. Roadhouse Racing will be going for the victory tonight with Tom Wetmore as their leading man, and so now it's going to be Jared Davis, the overall top star on the board. Last time we went to Auto Club, Drucker was sitting P2 in the point standings. As we come into today's race, Drucker finds himself now down to 5th. He lost 2 points in the championship, 2 positions rather, as a result of last week's showing. So, with that said, he's going to have a little bit more to make up tonight than what we've seen prior hand. Davis, Drucker, Lariah, and all down the line. Let's see what they've got in store as we get back to business. iRacing official pace car lined up, as is the field. And you can see them all now, and the fans have packed the virtual grandstands here. Drucker is looking for his second win. He's the rookie right now in the battle with Hunter Madalenas for Rookie of the Year honors, and it has been a very tight fight between those two. Both of them are very real championship threats. I think that's the most interesting part. They're both in the top 10 in points. Drucker still has the points advantage in 5th. Hunter is in 8th for the time being. However, well, if you look at this right now, qualifying might be the difference for the day. Jack qualifying 2nd, Hunter qualifying 12th. That's 10 places between them. We'll see if that ends up causing issues. Ambient temperature coming in at 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds eastbound at 8 miles an hour. Track temp 98 degrees Fahrenheit and relatively humid. All things considered, 58%. So, humidity reading is fair. It might increase as the night goes on, though. Forecast Bay's weather showing we are in the middle of the afternoon, and the track is likely to get warmer before it gets any cooler. With that said, drivers have 3 extra sets of tires available on pit road. It's a 220-mile race, 110 laps. No cap on fuel. If we stay green, we might be able to see a 55-lap split or thereabouts, which means that if we go under green, we could go the distance. That is all based on what the field has in store for us here. Jared Davis, for the 3rd time this year, will be the man that leads us to the green flag. To his outside is Jack Drucker, both drivers that are in desperate need of making some gains in the championship standings before it's all said and done, and we head toward the playoffs. Green flags out from the Michigan International Speedway, and now for the 18th time this year, we are at speed. Jared Davis, Drucker lead us through their 2x2 down the line. Running through the numbers, we have been to the Michigan International Speedway 3 times in the modern era of the Integrity Ignite Series. Last year, it was Blake Cannon who took victory. In 2023, it was a dogfight between Alec Daffin and Michael Stroll. Interesting as we talk about Cannon. He's not with us today racing, but if he was, he would be going out there and defending his title as the outright best man at the 2-mile tracks. And we've been to quite a few so far overall in Integrity Ignite Series run. First time we were at Auto Club in 2024, that was the first of the 2-mile tour. It was Justin Trombley who took his one and only win. The year prior in 2023 when we went to Auto Club, it was Anthony DeBarro who won. And the first time we went to Michigan, it was Michael Stroll who won over Alec Daffin that day. So the 2-mile tracks have been long, quite random with who wins, and not to say random particularly, but anyone can. But in the last year, it's been Blake Cannon the best at this style of racing. He's not with us today, so we are opened up to the prospect of a new winner at this speedway type of track. It's not an intermediate, it's not a super speedway, the length falls just in between, so the 2-mile circuits we'll refer to as the speedways from here on out. Lariah has taken the lead from Drucker. Drucker took the lead from Davis. Their double file further back. Nicholas Ward to the inside on Tom Wetmore. Chris DeWeese in the chat room, thank you for stopping by. Braxton DeWeese kept things exciting last week from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. If fuel wasn't the issue, he might have just been able to take it to the bank over Ethan Lane. And again, he's got new sponsorship. He's bringing it out for the first time with Josh Coates, the sponsoring man. And you'll see there, Happy Hippie Karaoke for the 2nd time in his Ignite career. The first time on this Xfinity Chevrolet. The 1 goes up high, and he'll get it around Vinny Tigner. Tigner, Saturday Night Thunder's Summer Series is coming to a close, and they're inviting all drivers to come out for the 2025 B season, which begins within a month. We're expecting to begin racing by about August 2nd, and that will be Saturday nights on FTN Broadcasting. Vinny Tigner, co-owner of that league and also a frequent participant here in the Integrity Racing League. Great to have him back on this Monday night. He started alongside DJ Stagner. Stagner's now further behind, and you'll be seeing more of DJ on Thursday nights starting on the 14th of August until November 13th as the Highline Racing League comes back to Victory Lane. For some it could be Swamp Motorsports. It comes back to life on Thursday nights at 9:30 p.m. Eastern on FTN as well. Summer, for how early it is in that season, it really has only just begun, and yet might be coming to a close. A few leagues have taken vacations, and some of their drivers are getting reps back in the business here. Great to have Vinny and DJ and Ryan Potter and Seb Miller further back. Those are the Swamp Motorsport guys. Michael Araya is far out and away, and he really has nobody else with him right now. Araya is looking confident, and with good reason. He's got 1.2 seconds built up, but is he pushing himself too hard to get out to this point? Wondering about that as we speak here. So, interestingly, Michael Araya is a rookie, but a champion at the very same time. 2024, he raced the Octane Series Championship fight, and he came out the title winner there, but this is his very first time taking the Xfinity car for a spin here through Michigan. So, when you look back on his history in the Octane Series, he was able to get the job done racing in Michigan. However, he was not the winner. Ethan Lane was the winning man that day. So, with that said, Michael Araya doesn't have a victory to back up what we're seeing right now. Lane does. We'll see if he wants to come after him as the race progresses. But currently, Michael looking very confident. That was the season of the Big Three, in which Ethan Lane, Michael Araya, and Nick Tarbuck won 28 of 30 races. Now, we haven't seen that level of dominance from anyone so far. Lane is almost matching his 2024 numbers, but the competition has been stiffer. It has been harder to do so, especially in the Octane Series. Thomas Bresci chasing after his teammate, the championship rival. It is advantage Matthew Thunhorst as they go down the back straight. Watch what happens now for Vinny Tigner as he deals with both of them. It looks like the teammates will work together before they work against each other. Coming through, Matthew Thunhorst almost clear of Vinny Tigner there, but he takes it well through the inside. And that's through 3 and 4. This is the fight for second, but there is no fight up in front for the leading spot. It is all Michael Araya, and he is still making gains. Side by side through turns 1 and 2. Jack Drucker is with Braxton DeWeese here. The playoff picture, that's what every driver has their mind on, whether or not right now they find themselves where they want to be, whether or not they can make more gains. It doesn't really matter where you are. If you're in the top 20, there's still at least an outside chance that you can make the playoffs here. That's how competitive the field has been. Braxton DeWeese now finds himself 19th in the championship, and the defending champ needs good runs. A night like this would help out a whole lot. See that swerve off the corner? And Hunter Madalenis gets himself back together. He is with DJ Stagner. This is the battle for 10th place. Lunging low, it's the 0-7 and advantage Hunter as he gets his way out of the back straightaway. We'll see if he keeps that run. Ethan Lane with a throwback paint scheme today. Xerox and Valvoline and shades of the late 1990s. And Mark Martin with that Ralph Fenway Racing number 6. Lane getting lower and lower on Stagner here as he'll make his way out of the corner. And that's another position gained. Ethan started 31st. He is now, according to timing and scoring, up to 11. He has gained 20 places so far today. How about that for Ethan Lane? Ethan on the up and up so far tonight. 3 seconds back on leader Araya. I'd be hard-pressed to say he's going to get up there on this first stint, but he's Ethan Lane. You really don't know. Araya leads. Vinny Tigner's gotten himself up to second, and he looks pretty comfortable. Vinny's first SNT win in the modern era of that league. came at Michigan during his championship winning season a year and a half ago. He's very comfortable at this track. He also runs well at Auto Club, and it's indicative of the performance you're seeing right now. He has gotten away from everyone except Lariah, and this looked to be a pretty comfortable top 3 battle. It's now getting a little tighter. Jack Drucker splitting the teammates. He's ahead of Bresci. That's going to be a sigh of relief, maybe briefly, for Matthew Thunhorst. Tight further back. Blake Gordon, Ronnie Osmer, Jared Davis, your pole sitter. 3 wide, but 1 gives. It'll be Jared Davis. Davis is the first to move out of the way there. And perhaps indicative that he doesn't have the stuff just yet to go back and take those spots. Or he's running a little bit more of a conservative race now after getting that top position in qualifying. Bonus points, good to have them, but always better if you can back up that pole position with a race win. Of course, we're only 14 laps in, so what you're seeing right now will not be the difference maker between victory and defeat. I don't think that's the case at all, but at the very same time, Davis has dropped back. He's on the back end of the top 10, and if Ethan Lane has his way right now, he could be moved back to P10 exactly. Lane coming through. You take a look aboard the number 6 car. They're 3 wide ahead of him. If he wants to make it out, he either dives low or he's going to stick it up high. Ethan Lane to the top end of the circuit. He's getting squished up there. He's going to try and follow Blake Gordon through. Oh, you don't want to follow Gordon. Blake in the wall. Shades of Darlington last year for the Gordon team. And that's going to give Ethan Lane 1 spot, 2 spots, and all 3. How about that for Lane? Surging up to 7th on that maneuver. He'll get himself from 10th to P7 in 1 foul swoop. He's looking next to go for a 3 wide run on both Thunhorst and Braxton DeWeese. Thomas Bresci getting ahead of his teammate. That'll put him ahead in the championship fights. JTM has been lockstep with their top 2 drivers over the last 3 months here. Thunhorst, after a series of subpar Thomas Bresci races, was able to cut a 50-point gap, but since then, the two have not been separated by more than 15 points. Goes to show the level of consistency and pace between the two. Now, Ethan Lane goes low to take P5 for Matthew Thunhorst. To the inside of the racing circuit all over again, Ethan Lane is looking strong right now, and that's Xerox Ford Mustang. Pushed out there by Ethan Lane, of course, is going to be Jared Davis. Davis gets to his back bumper. Can't do much more with it. Lane has cut the gap to the race leader in Lariah by a second in the last 5 laps. Michael leads, but he's also lost some time to Vinny Tigner. Vinny might be able to take the race lead before Ethan Lane does. If we're watching pace for pace, the biggest advantage of all would be with Lane. But Vinny Tigner is faster than your top driver. Taking a look as they cross the time sheets this time by. Ethan Lane dropping a 40.772. Michael Araya a 41.031. Tigner a 40.972. So Lane is 0.2 of a second quicker per lap than Vinny Tigner. 0.3 quicker than Michael Araya. He just got by Thomas Bresci. So Jared Davis has gotten himself back up to 6th. So he's pulling himself together well. Looks like he was saving something as he goes under Thomas Bresci. Oh, but Ethan Lane has gone from the back of the field up to the front, and really he hasn't made himself a big deal. He has slowly but surely walked through everyone, and now he's only got the podium left at his disposal. Watch what happens now for Michael Araya and Vinny Tigner. Vinny is in second here, but he could get clawed up real fast by the way things are going. Jack Drucker's got to watch his step as well, and perhaps he's going to have to pay most attention because Ethan Lane is now getting directly behind him. From the backside of the number 56 car, here's Jack Drucker looking to defend upon Ethan Lane. Ethan so far has been able to make up 27 places on the night. And although he did not go last to first, that's because he wasn't allowed to. Based on iRating, he was given the 31st slot rather than 35th and last, although by all accounts, this has been a real last to first performance to this point. Davis is side by side with Thomas Bressi as Ethan Lane looks to enter the podium. That he will do. Davis to the inside on Thomas Bressi, and just as Lane clears Drucker, Davis clears Bressi. Both go up to the top of the track. Neither make contact with themselves or the wall, but that could have been nasty. As Casey Shue bobbles to the inside. Casey puts it together, running now in 22nd according to timing and scoring, although you can see now a clear disconnect between himself and the rest of the field up and ahead. Ethan Lane is at third place. Ethan Lane, less than 15 minutes ago, was running 31st. Keep that in mind, 31st. The 31st place driver right now, Josh Gallagher, is 13 seconds behind your leader. And Ethan Lane started in that position and is within a second of your top man. Across the line, they're still fighting. Jacob Fife in a side-by-side battle with DJ Stagner. This is just outside of the top 15. This will be for about 16th. Tom Wetmore, just ahead of it. Morton, Matt Sisler, and you'll see Jacob Fife with Cody Smith as well. Smith going to have a little bit of a disadvantage watching from behind. Jacob Fife, an ace on defense right now. Matt gets to his lower groove again, but hasn't quite been able to make the push. He can only lunge ever so slightly, but the groove is not there when he comes out of the corner. Side by side again, it's going to be three wide. Cody Smith, Sisler, and Justin Morton. Justin up top. Just wasn't able to pull through fully there, and you're watching as the battle for second comes to a close so quick. Ethan Lane, P2. There you have it. Last time these two went at each other in Michigan, Ethan Lane was the winner. That was in the Octane Series, and it looks like we might just see it again. Michael Araya versus Ethan Lane. 23 laps in out of 110. We're ready to get back to business. It's about a quarter way through, and the fight is on for victory lane. Again, pit road, if we stay under green, would be expected at around lap number 55. That would be the most exciting point of the race, strategically speaking. I think that's going to be the big difference maker. You might see some drivers who are running up front and making gains right now, but if you mess up on pit road, the night is all but over with. Jared Davis is looking for third. Davis all of a sudden has really put himself back together, falling to as low as 10th, and it looks like he's been keeping something hidden from his competitors. Maybe they didn't expect him to get back up here, and it looks like he's got more pace than we've given him credit for so far tonight. He is right on Tigner's back end and looking for the out. To the inside, coming toward turn one. Michael Araya still leading, but the gap is only 0.4 of a second. Watch what happens as Ethan Lane rapidly approaches. Taking a look from just ahead, you'll see Laraya in the 44. What was once a blip on the radar has become the tightest fight in the business. Everyone else out of sight and out of mind. The checkered flag still pretty far, but if there's two drivers who are going to go at it today, I think you're shaping up to see the best of them right here, right now. The mid-pack is mostly uncontended and uncontested. As you see Brant McClendon to the inside of Justin Morton, really not much has come of it. There's Tyler Hensley. Hensley's been having some great runs as of late. This might not be one of them so far. He is 29th to 25th on the day, up 4, and so it looks like at least so far, he hasn't been able to pull a lot of big moves yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if later on he'll make those gains. Anyway, 1/10 of a second back is the distance now, and the difference is far from clear any longer. Ethan Lane is right there on Michael Araya. Up 30 positions so far, and looking for the 31st to go from the back of the field to the front. For Ethan Lane, while he might not be just yet a regular season championship contender, he's got 4 wins on the campaign, more than anyone else. As a matter of fact, he's got 5. This would be his 6th. 4 pole positions, but tonight he went for the opposite approach, not starting up front and keeping it all the way at the back end. Down the start-finish line, it's going to be a drag race for the lead lap. Lariah will only just take it, but by 9 1/1000ths of a second. For the first time all night long, Ethan Lane leads, and for 28 laps of working, he's gone under green from 31st to the race lead. Lane is advantageous. Lariah falls back to 2nd place. Remarkable. I mean, there's really nothing else to say besides what a run up front. For Ethan Lane, can you believe it? He's now going to come across the line again, and this time he's got 0.2 of a second advantage to the rest of the field. Thomas Bresci and Matthew Thunhorst are still interlocked position for position. Watch out for these two as the race progresses. Not a lot of double file everywhere else, though. Nick Tarbuck, who is now running best of the rest of the non-JTM drivers, might see that spot in jeopardy today, with Ethan Lane looking to win another one. Nick right now is 23 points up on Lane, but with running outside of the top 10, it's very likely that Nick loses that placement and falls back to 4th and continues the battle with Jack Drucker they've had all season long for that best of the rest accolade. Slowly but surely, though, with those two drivers only having 1 win between the 2 of them, they're going to fall back naturally. Those victories will take precedent as we come toward the playoff picture, and that is exactly what we have seen. Drucker needs another one. Nick needs to get 1 on the board, although he is top 5 in points in both series right now. He doesn't have a win to show for it. And I think that's a pretty worrying thing for the playoffs. But either way, making their way through to the checkered flag and making their way to the playoffs is the first big goal. A victory can be knocked off from there. Jared Davis keeping it close in the top 3. The podium is now only split by 0.4. And while Ethan Lane has gotten up to the lead, Michael Lariah has not let him go. Here's the thing about it. Even if Ethan Lane loses the lead in this stint, I think it's game over for everyone else. He came from 31st and got to this point. His tires are more than likely worn to a higher degree than anyone else's, so I wouldn't be too surprised if he ends up 2nd or 3rd on the ending of this first stint. But then what happens when he is 3rd, coming out of pit road on the same tire as everyone else? Not 31st any longer, not 13th, but 3rd. He'll only have to make up 2 positions and carve through a whole lot less of the track with a lot more time at his disposal. Even if Michael Lariah takes the race lead right here, maybe that's not to his benefit. I think right now you got these top 3 who are very comfortable and they've got the pace. They're more than likely going to come into pit road together. But watch out for Vinny Tigner too. Tigner is in 4th, and he might just be the dark horse of the day. Jared Davis, the pole sitter. Lariah, the early leader, Ethan Lane, and Vinny Tigner. Tigner does not yet have any of the accolades to show for it on the day or the season, but he's a very strong driver at Michigan, and he's one of the specialists at this track, maybe only comparable to Blake Cannon by those results. Lap number 33. Matthew Thunhorst is reeling in his teammate ever so slightly. We'll see if the pressure from Braxton Deweese also plays a role, but right now it looks like there's very little a difference between the 24 and the 8 crew. Matthew Thunhorst is about a quarter car length from being passed out of the way. Braxton Deweese here, I'll tell you this much, he is getting even closer as well. Braxton might be able to get by Matthew Thunhorst before Matthew can do anything with teammate Bresci. You'll see there the number 1 car looking to the inside. Braxton needs these good runs, and I think even though he wasn't able to win the All-Star race, that was a really energizing performance for this team. Getting up there, going head-to-head with Ethan Lane, and had it not been for the final 500 yards, he would have come out a winner. And it looks like, although today he's not up there in the top 5 just yet, top 10 runs from this point to the end could be the difference. Consistency and excellence are necessary to make it to the playoffs. And the gap between 19th place Deweese and 10th place Blake Cannon, well, we're going to do the numbers right now and let you know, because that's the gap that needs to be made up if there's any chance for this crew to make it through. The gap between them in points is 53. Very much a gap you can make up in 4 races, including this one. So, it takes 4 races to gain 53 points in the top 10 cut line, which is a guaranteeable entry into the playoff picture. Top 10s and top 5s will do a whole lot as they're side by side for the race lead again. Michael Araya up high, Ethan Lane skating down on the bottom, and the 44 surges. This is a textbook example of what we meant. Lane might not be the likeliest to win the stint. He's just got to stay in line from now on. Laraya back in front. Davis trying to take P2. I don't think Ethan Lane's going to let that happen. As Jack Drucker goes at it right now, that's going to be Ronnie Osmer. Ethan Lane is going to be in a hotly contested battle now for the second spot. Way down low goes Lane. Davis high. I think the advantage is ever so slightly now with Davis, but I think that's in the long term. Even if Lane ekes it out for now, he's showing those signs that rubber is worn and nobody's invincible when you're going up against old tire. Side by side, Deweese and Thunhorse. Doubt's been now for a little while here, trying to watch both battles as Ronnie Osmer sticks it to the high side to take it 3 wide. He'll take 1 spot, he'll take 2 spots. Ronnie Osmer, he is on new rubber here. That's why he's so quick. So Ronnie is looking for what could be a 2-stop strategy, going in at lap number 37, and then he'll go another 37 laps or so, come in during the late 70s, early 80s of the race, and finish it off. Interesting call. I don't know. I really don't think that's the winning call based on what we've seen here before, but it is a safe call, and if Ronnie's confident with it, it could be the difference maker between getting him up in front and not doing so. So he's going to take his chances, and why not? Got an opportunity, and he will use it. Ronnie Osmer right now, when it comes to that championship picture, well, to start the season, he was up there real strong, but slowly but surely, he's found himself challenging in the mid-pack of the points table. Ronnie is now 11th, so he's not very far off. I mean, he's only 4 points off of the top 10. He can afford to do something different, but at the very same time, there's a lot of drivers who are banking on that strategy failing. Ronnie, the first of many to go down to pit road tonight. Everyone has to, but he will be the pioneer of just that. Lane takes it back from Davis. Laraya ekes out about a half second. Side by side between teammates again. This is for the championship lead. Matthew Thunhorse down low and with a slight edge through the corners, but it'll be Thomas Bresci pulling it back down the back straight. Looking low. Thunhorse still there. Both these drivers got to give themselves some good racing room. You don't want to kill your race in the opening 40 laps. There goes Blake Gordon to the inside, so a few more drivers have decided to go 2-stopping very early. We'll see if this becomes the majority decision. Blake Gordon goes for it at lap number 40 here. Lap 55 is the halfway marker. When drivers get to that point, well, by that point, I think everyone's going to be considering going down a pit road. We should see the end of this first cycle, no matter what, by lap number 60. Ethan Lane dealing with the lappers. There goes Blake Gordon right under him. And a wobble for the number 6. That's going to back off Jared Davis, but it gets him to his back end. Side by side now, 40 out of 110. Take a look back and you'll see Matthew Thunhorse has taken that positional advantage over teammate Thomas Bresci. I don't think they're really going at each other too hard just yet, and this is such an interesting teammate dynamic. Because to start their careers, they had particular traits that they were the aces of. I mean, Matthew Thunhorse was an outright road course ace. Thomas Bressi, road course wins, and he swept Talladega. Swept Talladega somehow in two completely different races and was still the dominating man in both instances. But they've become all-around guys. Vinny Tigner down and in, 41 laps through. And I think with this indicator of more and more drivers coming in, you're seeing the two-stop strategy, the safer call, being taken very serious here. Previously, we've gone to Michigan for 100 laps. The difference between those extra 10 miles is an awful lot. It's a difference between a few tenths of a gallon of fuel. Tigner going to miss a stall there. Bad news. But I think now you're going to see drivers taking it really serious. 2 stops is the way. Coming to the inside of pit road, it will be Michael Araya bowing down. He will take with him at least one in Ryan Potter and a few more in Thunhorst. And with them, Drucker and Thomas Bressi. So, drivers making their way in during the mid-40s rather than the 50s. They'll play it safe, and that will be the game plan. Still had some undercutting guys earlier in the going, like Ronnie Osmer. We'll see how they shake out. Ethan Lane holds out with the race lead. Gary Davis now looks to get it back. Now, I think for Lane, he's in a situation where he doesn't want to make any more mistakes, but the tires are worn. That's what lost him the race lead to begin with. However, now, he's only going to find himself one spot behind as he cycles in to the inside of pit road. Lane ahead of Davis. They'll coming together, and with them, Braxton DeWeese. 1, 2, 3 down the line. The number 1 of DeWeese is there. Mick Tarbuck side by side with Hunter Madalenas. And all the while, you're going to see the leaders break out again. Michael Araya getting his exit. We'll see where he cycles out. Rather, of course, he gets ahead of these guys. And relative to them, we will be watching. It's Laraya versus Lane. That is the battle we're looking at, and I think that's the difference maker here. Coming out of turn 4, how far ahead will Michael Araya get? Take a look inside the cockpit. There's Lane. And he's leaving him in the dust. He's going to have a few seconds at the very least. Michael Araya is up and ahead of Ethan Lane. And gap to gap, they're separate now by 2.1 seconds. Ethan finding himself back on the way while Ronnie Osmer looks to be your leading man overall by the numbers. Elliott Henderson, the number 37. Those are all the guys who have undercut. There are no holdouts. And so by lap 60, the strategy cycle ends, but it's going to be real early because by 45, we're back to business. Ronnie Osmer will get some time in the sun up in front. However, on older tire, that might not be the best way to go for the rest of the night. Keep in mind, his rubber is 8 or 9 laps older than his competitors, including Laraya, Wetmore, Lane, and Tigner. This alternate strategy call will get him some bonus points, but I don't quite know if it's going to be the move to hold on to the lead. Next, you'll have Blake Gordon and Elliott Henderson, respectively. They'll be coming around the way. And as they do so, they'll be second and third. Vinny Tigner in the number 12 runs 7th here. Of your drivers we've really been keeping an eye on for the win, Michael Araya leads. Ethan Lane, however, I think he's still going to come out the big winner. Yes, we mentioned he was not likely to go down a pit road the leader. That is exactly what happened, but he only has to make himself up one more position after he gets by Tom Wetmore. He just did. Now it's all about making one more spot. One spot over a 30-lap run doesn't sound nearly as difficult as 30 spots over a 30-lap run. He'll have cleaner air, will have to deal with fewer drivers actively competing against him, and if he doesn't come up on Laraya first, he'll come up on lap traffic, who already find himself one lap down, which means they have no real reason to battle against Lane and hold them up any further. All the while, Michael Araya plays the role of putting them one lap down, in which the driver has every right to fight to stay on the lead lap. So Laraya is dealing with a trickier circumstance and a slightly older tire. Not a recipe for disaster just yet. However, I think the advantage is clearly in Ethan Lane's favor. if he knows how to use it. 31st to 5th. And he comes across the line again. Gap between Ethan Lane and Michael Araya is about 2.4 seconds, so it was extended 0.3 since they immediately came past the back straightaway when Lane exited pit road. However, I think that's going to shrink pretty soon. Just comes down to that difference in speed off the first lap, and down the laps will go. New rubber is expected to prevail. Track temperature right now is going to be coming in at 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Remember, we started with the track temp being 95 degrees, so yeah, it's getting warmer out there. Relative humidity has actually decreased, so it's not going to get that slick, but it is warm. And that means those tires are going to be burning off, perhaps at a slightly faster rate than what we saw on our initial stint. So watch out for that. I think that's going to play to the disadvantage of every driver, but particularly that one lap difference will be exacerbated as the night progresses. Even if Ethan Lane does not win, what a race it has been for him so far, getting himself up to the front of the field from 31st under green with no additional assistance. He had to go the distance by himself, and I think that's the most impressive thing, that he did it under green fully. Of course, it's always great to see a driver charge their way up from the back of the field to the front, but yellow flags or any interruptions make it a lot easier. And he didn't do it by the virtue of a big wreck or a mistake from the entire field, but instead just did it based on how good he was at working through the pack. Before you knew it, he was running in the top 15, and he just kept going. So Lane has our eyes again, and now you can see that gap is slowly but surely trickling down. It's about a 1.5 second deficit between Lane and Lariah, as you'll see further back. Blake Gordon there, Elliott Henderson going at each other, old rubber and new. And the differences become clearer and clearer. Wetmore really making some gains here and getting himself up and in front. Last pit lap, 42. I think, by the way he did it, though, he had to have gone for a 2-tire stop, which puts him up here because he wasn't up in the top 10 fight beforehand with a huge track position gain. Impressive for Wetmore, because if he hangs on to a top 10 on this stint, which is still possible, he might be able to get himself fully on cycle and really dig deep for the last one. Vinny Tigner looking to get by Tom Wetmore now. Wetmore running in 4th place. However, before you know it, it's going to be Osmer put aside, so Tom in the number 69 will be now 3rd. For the first time tonight, Roadhouse Racing, the defending winning team at Michigan, is inside the podium. Of course, Blake Cannon, the driver who got it done last time, he's not racing with us today, but Wetmore looking to carry on that spirit, at least in part, while Vinny Tigner now gets right to him. Vinny, a sophomore driver, has been looking like quite the vet today, and his Michigan experience has paid off well. That's something about Saturday Night Thunder that is pretty particular to that series. If you go and race at Michigan in that series, it is almost like a crown jewel. The level of talent and capability at that track particularly, it's odd, but it's really fun to watch. Oh, they're 3 wide right behind Hunter Madalenis, Jack Drucker, and Osmer. 2 have to give. 1 is Osmer. Who's next? Advantage Hunter. Jack Drucker might just have to bail out. As they go side by side again, Vinny Tigner dealing with that SNT field at Michigan, Matthew Weeks, who was so great at that circuit, a Jonathan Cutlip, a James Thurston, a Chase Schaefer, a Jordan Kuntz, some of the best drivers in the sim racing game outright. I mean, Chase Schaefer having some time in Road to Pro, Matthew Weeks, Jonathan Cutlip having EPI backing. It's tricky, but it has made a better driver for Tigner, particularly in that circuit, because if you want to compete for a championship, you have to do well at those 2-mile tracks with this Xfinity car. And even though he might not be a title contender in the Ignite Series just yet, a track like this shows those fundamentals, and when you continue to put it down time and again and continue to learn, continue to get those reps in, it shows. And right now for Vinny Tigner, that is exactly what he's doing. He's coming down the back straightaway and doing it once again. Braxton DeWeese in the number 1. He runs 4th place. Matthew Thunhorst in 3rd here. The difference to making it to the podium or otherwise. Thomas Bressi has been separate from his JTM teammate, and this is the biggest positional gap they have had all race long. They're still in the same gaggle of cars, but as you can see now, a little bit more distance. Domination, Intimidation Racing, 2 drivers in this pack. You've got Tarbuck and you've got DeWeese. And JTM with Thunhorst and Bressi. For the championship lead, Matthew Thunhorst looking to stretch it out. No clear favorite between these 2 drivers so far. For a little while, it looks like it is Matthew Thunhorst's race. Then you go back, it looks a little bit more like it is instead Thomas Bressi's race. Interesting. It's been that back and forth, that sway and that pivot, and so quickly, Thunhorst has been able to make his way to turns 3 and 4 all over again. He might not lead the pack, but he leads the title fight right now, and I think that is his primary goal in this circumstance. Coming across the line once more, Braxton DeWeese up to 3rd. Now, if he's able to get away with a race like this, that would be a dream for him in the points. Ethan Lane to the inside, however, on Michael Araya for the race lead for the 2nd time. Lane has cut the 2+ second gap, and the deficit is no more. New race leader all over again. It is Ethan Lane. Michael Araya now just looking to stay on the back bumper and tire him out the way he did in the first stint. But I don't think it's going to play out the same way. We are past halfway from Michigan. Ethan Lane brings it in for the 2nd half as your new race leader. So it's Lane in control. DeWeese holds this big pack now behind him. And again, to make it up to the top 10 in points and cut a 53-point deficit, a night like this is necessary. 53 points at one point was the difference between 1st and 2nd in the championship. And that got cut as well. So, if you're Braxton, you got a lot of reason to believe, and if you're another driver around that bracket, I think you would as well. However, none are running quite as good. The only comparison that we could really make is, let's say Tom Wetmore. Wetmore's running 11th right now. He finds himself 13th in points. He is absolutely outrunning Blake Cannon because he's not on the track today, and he's ahead of Nicholas Ward, but only just tight. Wetmore's not going to have as big as a gain as Braxton DeWeese is set to have. Braxton's got to be real careful here. 3rd place, a valuable position. If he can hang on for the better part of 55 laps here, it could be the biggest score of the season, even if it's not a win. Gap between leaders now more than a half second as they come across the line once more. So, first went down to pit road at about lap 40 for most of these drivers, 42, 43, thereabouts. Then you'll have some 35, 36 lap guys who go in just a little bit beforehand. So if they went in at lap 37 again, they would be having a second stint at about lap 74. Based on the estimates that we're seeing from Lane and Laraya, these guys would be expected to go down to pit road anywhere between lap 84 and lap 86, however, so they're going to get about 10 laps more just on going longer. That will be the final stint. That will bring them to the checkered flag when they decide to go through. It will be their final pit stop of the day. And that is also about 20 laps away from here. First half of this second stint has seen Lane reclaim the lead, and this time it looks like Michael Araya cannot hold a candle. With the 2 drivers on relatively equal rubber, in fact, Lane having the tire advantage, your 31st place starter is looking to make those big moves permanent. He's up and ahead and only getting further and further out of sight. Meanwhile, the big pack is still pretty close. Hunter Madalenas on Jared Davis, Matthew Thunhorst again with Thomas Bressi, but it's going to be Jack Drucker who breaks up the teammates, and this is the hot spot for action in the upper pack of the circuit. Elliott Henderson is with Jacob Fife. Jacob goes high, Elliott low, 49 laps remaining, and just like that, it's going to be 14th place for Elliott,
Jacob is up 3 on the day, going from 18th to 15th. And while Jacob looked to be on the cusp of making his way back into the playoff picture, he's 16th in points again. He's got himself 1 top 5, 5 top 10s, and while he's got a notable Octane Series victory, which was in Las Vegas, he has not been able to strike gold on the Monday nights, and I think that's been the big problem here. Over the last month and a half, as high as 11th in the standings, but since that point, he has fallen ever so slightly down. 5 positions can be made up to get back to P11, and a top 10 would be great. Right now, 15th place and dropping to Elliott Henderson is no assistance. Drucker looks to get by both JTM teammates. Got by Bresci. And it looks like he's not going to have an easy time with Thunhorst either, but he's got the momentum. The inside of Matthew Thunhorst. Down the start-finish line with 48 laps to go. A little bit sideways, but not a problem for either driver. In fact, it looks like Thunhorst has to buckle down on his exit, and that's going to cost him position. That'll bring Drucker up to 7th place. Thunhorst goes 8th. Hunter Madalenas 12th, up to 6th. So gaining 6 places here in the 0-7, Hunter Madalenas. He's got himself now out of the battle with Jared Davis, although it looks like in this case he actually lost that battle. Nick Tarbuck back up to 4th, looking to do some damage control if he wants to hang on to 3rd in the championship any longer. With the way Lane has been driving, though, it's almost an inevitability he falls out of that spot. But for podiums in the 29 team, it might just be enough to keep Ethan Lane at bay. Braxton Deweese with 46 laps to go here in the most important race of his season. Critical that he stays up in front. Nick Tarbuck, though, has other ideas. He'll duck down and in. To the inside goes the 29. And he'll come off of that final corner with a wave of momentum. Just enough, I believe, for him to get that spot. At the timing line, he was ahead by 71 thousandths of a second, and that's exactly how he goes through. It'll be Nick Tarbuck up and ahead again. So that's going to be for the 3rd position. 4th place is Braxton Deweese. Jared Davis, P5. 6th, Hunter Madalenas. The JTM guys have been giving us some great excitement all day long, and Justin Morton was up in the mix for a while there. However, he finds himself now 22nd. JTM Motorsport is a big multi-car group. We often focus on those 2 guys, Matthew Thunhorst and Thomas Bresci, but you also have to shout out the guys who are oftentimes maybe further back in the field. However, Morton has put together some strong runs this year. The 71 team of Gael Brooks. Brooks tonight, 23rd to 30th, 1 lap down. However, in the case of a catastrophe, he would be the lucky dog in that DeWalt number 71. Side by side, Elliott Henderson is still there with Ronnie Osmer now. We got 29 drivers on the lead lap and 2 retirees. 7 laps down is Brant McClendon. However, even though he's that far back, he is still on the racetrack here looking to pick up any points he can. And we've had a remarkable race with the drivers here. Calvin Filarski and Boomer Logan often taking the roles of being off-track admins. And it looks like that's what they've done for the rest of the day. They took a few laps, but haven't been on the track since. Otherwise, 33 starters that took the green flag are still racing. And they've done a great job of it. 43 to go. Michigan bringing out some exciting action, although Ethan Lane has broken away for the lead. Jacob Fife, 15th place here. He's looking for P14 and maybe a little bit more on Elliott Henderson. Matthew Thunhorst gets back up to Jack Drucker. Going to be about a car length and a half that separates them at most, and it is a long trail into turn 1. And this sort of freight train style of racing is so prominent at Michigan because it's not like Daytona or Talladega where you can go really bumper to bumper through the corners. You do have to get off the throttle, but at the very same time, it is a very fast circuit. And as a result, with that speed, you've got to pay close attention to what's going on. 42 to go, and it's all about the draft now. Saving your equipment, saving your tire, maybe saving your fuel before you get ready for that final stint. The shorter that last stint is, I think the better a driver will be, because they're going to have themselves pushed so hard to get to that point. If you go in early, you're going to burn out your final set of tire, which is not the move, not the way you want to go out. Drivers will be using most likely 2 of their extra sets. They were provided with 3 today, but even still, you're not going down a pit road again. Save as long as you can and hold out. That's what you want to do. 41 laps to go, and we're getting real close now to the very end of this one. Nick Tarbuck back to 3rd. And look at that, it's the big 3 from 2024. Again, Ethan Lane won 14 races, Michael Araya won 10 in the championship, Nick Tarbuck won 4. In the Octane Series, only 2 other drivers got race victories, and they only took 1 apiece. These 3 terrorized the field last season and had so many 1, 2, 3 finishes, it was unbelievable. If one of them couldn't win, the other would win. And if the other couldn't, the third would. That is exactly how the season went down. 28 wins across 3 drivers. A ridiculous number. And something that is very likely never going to be replicated in this league again. It's a competitive field. It's a very competitive field. But when 3 drivers do that to your field, it really makes you wonder how high above the rim those guys are. And it's no wonder that even in 2025, even in a field that has been so well noted for its parity and its driver quality, that they're up front again, and it's shades of last year where they did the same dance at Michigan just a year and a day ago. "39 laps remaining, and the train remains a train. Jack Drucker maybe getting caught up to slightly by Matthew Thunhurst. I really don't see any advantage that he's had, or vice versa. Matt Alenis on Braxton DeWeese has not yet been able to make a move. Cody Smith a little bit closer now to Matt Sisler, but it is a very single-file racetrack, I'll say that much. Tyler Hensley, 29th up to 19th. We expected he would make some more moves as the race goes on. That he has. He's now up 10 places in the JTM number 5. And tonight, maybe not the best first stint for him, but either way, you're seeing those differences made as Braxton DeWeese falls back now. It looks like P6 is going to be side by side, and Matt Alenis on the 1. 73 laps into this stint, we are eyeing our final run down a pit road very soon. Looking at it with about 25 laps to go, I think that's going to be the ideal time for almost every driver. The field will see him come through one more time, and they'll finish it off with a final sprint. 37 laps to go, coming to 36 for Ethan Lane, and he hasn't yet been able to shake Michael Araya. Interesting. Now, it isn't the same as last time around where Laraya so quickly got up to him, but it looks like Michael might have the better of him on those long runs regardless of having a tire disadvantage. Ethan is so accustomed to pushing on the day, I mean, he had to go from 31st up, that it looks like right now he's got himself less concerned with the tire wear, and it might come back to bite him. Laraya has been in his groove for the last few laps. I mean, last time by, ran a 41.8. Ethan Lane, a 41.8 as well, but he lost 0.02 of a second. And between these two drivers, when they are so quick, those hundredths of seconds add up. And it looks like Lane has not yet fully gotten away, and this victory is far from sealed. Contact for Lane with the wall. Nothing serious, he'll rub it, get away, but indicative that he's really pushing to keep himself ahead of Laraya again. Thomas Bressy's got Vinny Tigner, Tom Wetmore right behind. Wetmore at 11th, Tigner in 10th. It's going to be a valuable spot to take if Tom Wetmore can get up there for P10. Hasn't yet been able to get ahead of Vinny Tigner for practically the entirety of this race. Only time he was able to do so was through our final run down to pit road. In the opening laps, of course, he was one of the last guys to do it. and he got himself ahead briefly, but he fell back outside of the podium to now 11th place. Tigner, low again, can't quite get there. Jack Drucker looking to the inside of a lapper. That's going to be the 81 of Brandon Bernhardt. He'll take Matthew Thunhorst right under as well. Endeavor Motorsport, two-car operation today. 13 of Blake Gordon runs 19th, and Brandon Bernhardt runs right now in 28th. Gordon looked strong early, but he made some contact with the outer fencing, and I think that's what began to, shall we say, dishevel the field, or rather dishevel his run as he fell back further through the field. Unfortunately, that we've seen as an issue. The number 13 team oftentimes has the mistake of going a little aggressive early, and it catches up to them as Matthew Thunhorst now heads to the inside of pit road. 33 laps to go. Your final stint is on its way. Thunhorst makes an early call. Your championship leader drops through. Ethan Lane. Well, we'll see what he does here, but that's a really early call. 33 laps to go. It makes sense, though. It's early, but that accounts for the fact that this final run is going to be shorter no matter what. And maybe now we're going to see drivers going in a little earlier than lap 82, lap 83. We're coming to lap 79 now, mind you. A driver can afford to go in a few laps earlier now if the final stint is shorter, which it will be. So, instead of going for the fastest of sprints with only 27 laps on new rubber, maybe taking 30 would be preferable. That makes sense. Not often is it the right thing to do, but I think in this situation particularly, that makes sense. Thomas Bressy's down and in. You don't want to burn out your equipment by going too long, but going too long will be another 40-lap run, which is now, by the numbers, impossible. Thomas Bressy comes in and matches teammate just a lap after. We'll see if he gets the better of him on the way out. Blake Gordon is in, as is Elliott Henderson. Leader Lane remains on the racetrack as Thomas Bressy will get on his way. Nobody comes in that time by. Lane, with 31 laps to go, opts to stay out, as does Michael Araya, and the big three holds out up in front. Thomas Bressy gets back on the track one lap down. He'll see himself right behind Matthew Thunhorst. Thunhorst right now coming into turn 3, as is Thomas Bressy. We'll see if one lap of tire made a difference enough for the 24 tonight at the end of it. For Ethan Lane, it got him back up to the lead. We'll see now what the Bressy team can do. 30 laps remaining. Expectation is that we'll see these drivers coming in before lap number 86, and we're coming right up on that final run. 81 laps in. What a great race it has been. I mean, all the natural green flag racing, the opportunities for passing, the battles for the lead, and the fact that all of it has become such a natural thing for the field. It hasn't been the worry of lappers getting in the way. It has just been consistency and putting that work in lap after lap. We'll see what happens now for Lane, though, as he's coming toward the close end of this exciting run. With the lappers, it still could be Michael Araya who leads into pit road for the second time today. There's Steve Durham, there's Matthew Thunhorst. They'll split leaders, take him through the middle. Ethan looks composed on the second stint, though. And that's the difference between going after 30 cars and going after one car. When you go through the entire field, you've got to push no matter what. When it's one driver, you can keep yourself a little bit more composed until the very end. 29 laps to go. Still holding out is Ethan Lane. Going for the exact opposite of the undercut type call, which I think you saw from Matthew Thunhorst above all else. And going for the long stretch, the overcut, going in the latest of all. We'll see what happens here as it's toe-to-toe between Thomas Bressy and Lane. And they're leaving him very little room here. The lappers are now battling amongst themselves as if they've got themselves on the lead lap that quickly. Aiden Harris in the chat room, rooting for Hunter Madalenas. Right now, Hunter is scored in 5th and still has a very fair chance of finishing out with the top 5 here. The rookie battling amongst those, including Jack Drucker for Rookie of the Year honors, and they're once again position to position again. One goes down and in, and by the looks of it, it's Vinny Tigner. Vinny will drop through 27 laps to go after a 42 lap stint. Lane stays out. Josh Chrisman just signaled in. The leaders have not yet given any indication. We are waiting to figure out whether or not they want it. Ethan from 3 and 4 has not shown any signs of slowing down yet. Up the top of the track. A little bit of a bobble, little bit of a shake. Michael Araya, for the second time, gets the opportunity to lead down a pit road. He'll take it to the inside. It's now Lane up top with less speed into 1. Waiting for a mistake. Araya gets one. After 30 laps on the back end, Ethan Lane falters as they'll head to pit road. This is huge, because whoever leads the strategy on the way to pit road dictates the rest of the race. Oh, Michael Araya will get his money's worth and then some out of just that little wiggle. He will still decide this time by to come down to pit road earlier, which is interesting. He would decide not to match Lane, but instead get the new rubber quicker. Now, on a 42-lap run, I would say he's doomed. But on a 25-lap run, he might have a chance to approach it differently. Put a little bit more aggression into each and every one of those laps. He had to save the energy to go 40-plus last time by, and he still got the lead. What can he do now if he conserves himself a little bit less and puts the power down for only, give or take, about 30 laps? Now this is exciting. Ethan Lane, no choice but to match him. Head down to pit road this time by. Hunter Madalenas will opt to take this lap lead, and so the 0-7 leads. But watch out now, Michael Araya gets on the way. This is a classic 2024 styled battle. We saw 24 of these between these two drivers, and it looks like we are getting round 25. It's only taken us about 8 months to get it back. 24 laps to go. Hunter and company will have to go down to pit road pretty soon here. And of course, it looks like this time by the 0-7 will bite. The final of our holdouts makes his way in. Hunter Madalenas with a lap lead right there, who gets some bonus points. And Cody Smith now on the way out. Matthew Thunhorst will take the race lead. Ethan Lane's on the way. Wow, Matthew Thunhorst into turn 3. Ethan Lane is just making his way down the back straightaway. The gap between the two drivers, it is looking like 2 seconds. 2 seconds, that's the gap. Looking at the numbers down to the decimals, you'll look at it as more of a 2.5, 2.6, but it's very similar to the initial margin we saw beforehand. So at the line, timing and scoring, yes, says 2.2. 23 laps to go. We're coming up on 22 laps remaining. If you've enjoyed tonight's coverage, be sure to thank our friends at Whiplash SimCams. Before the leading battle really heats up, we're going to give you the best camera angles on the iRacing market. And if you're a broadcaster and you'd like to try some out, you can do so at no expense of your own. Visit the Whiplash Discord server to get some free trial camera packs. And if you'd like to purchase full sets, cars and tracks purchased at $5 a piece, no licensing fee necessary. Thank you to Whiplash SimCams for bringing their coverage to us at FTN Broadcasting, and Pit Stop TV for welcoming us into the Whiplash family. Watch Michael Araya and Ethan Lane. They will be the focus of our Crank It Up with 22 laps to go. Let's get loud and proud from the Motor City and Michigan International Speedway. Michael Araya leads, but as you might have noticed, while he takes the overall race lead, his next competitor is now the number 6 of Ethan Lane. Welcome to round 25. In 2024, Ethan Lane won 14 races against Michael Araya. Michael Araya was able to pull away with 10 wins against the Lane team. Now, it looks like after a few months of a hiatus, a championship decided between the two of them, and a brand new move to another championship field in the Ignite Series. They are back at it again for what might be the most thrilling of their battles. 17 laps to go. It has not been just them all night long. You've seen Davis, you've seen Tarbuck, you've seen Drucker, and you've seen DeWeese. But now it comes down to the two men on your screen who have done this so many times before, and yet none have been quite like this. 16 laps to go. Coming across the line again, it is still Ethan Lane trailing. Ethan qualified 31st today, and in our first 95 laps, under green, he has gone from the back of the field all the way up. Coming up on the lapper of Casey Shue now. It's a quick pass. The number 4 gets out of the way, and there's been no trouble so far working through lappers. That's one good thing the field has not had to concern itself with. Championship leader as it stands is Matthew Thunhorst, and if he beats Thomas Bresci on the racetrack tonight, that is definitive. Right now, he is still ahead of his teammate by about 0.6 of a second. That is going to be good enough to hang on for P1 in points. However, Michael Araya winning over Ethan Lane would be a saving grace for Thunhorst, and it might be the nail in the coffin for Lane to run to take the regular season championship. He is 123 points behind, which might sound like a lot, but with the fact that he has the most wins and pole positions of anyone in this series, he still could pull it back. If he doesn't win today, it'll be immeasurably harder, but he still could be the man that pulls it back to the very end. Araya, 14 to go. More than a second of a lead. That time by about 41 thousandths of a second slower. They're close. I mean, they're really close. Will Reichard goes high, gets out of Michael Araya's way. Looks like Michael doesn't really have to compromise too much off of exit. And the 67 of Reichard will fall behind in due time here. Ethan Lane now coming up on the 67. I don't think you're going to see a lot of lappers getting involved from this point onward. And hopefully that'll be the case for both of these guys who have done a great job of handling them. And the lappers have been very courteous. That's the great part of it as well. These drivers understand this is a big fight. They've gotten themselves out of the way so far with little trouble. That last lap wasn't really what Michael Araya needed, but I don't think this lap will be the case for Ethan Lane. I think they'll get both of each other back there. 0.2 of a second quicker, Lane was lap time by. Gap is 0.9 and expanding again. Braxton DeWeese is in third by a full second. And he's looking for what could be his best finish of the year and a critical one to make the playoffs. After a great run in the All-Star race, he wasn't able to finish top 10, but he was leading down the back straight into turn 3. He has been rejuvenated, and the one team is proving that whatever we saw last week, not a fluke, and the defending champ is back in action. He's ahead of Tom Wetmore. Wetmore's been making some risky calls strategy-wise. I don't think he will be fighting for the podium. Pole sitter Jared Davis just might. Davis to the inside, that's for 4th place. So Jared Davis, watch out for him as he is now billowing down that back straightaway at a speed of 187 miles an hour. He's putting the pressure on that Tom Wetmore team. Gap is 0.8 between your top two drivers, 11 laps to go. Glued to your screens, it's a can't-miss battle. Grab your popcorn, this is it. We don't know if we're going to see another matchup quite like this. The fact that it's happened so many times before makes it all the more special. Araya has the chip, Lane has the victory advantage, and it looks like now, even though it's not the Octane Series any longer, this is for all the bragging rights and then some. Both drivers have had incredible races. I mean, that is without a doubt. Araya has been able to swipe the lead back from Ethan Lane twice, which, when you know Ethan Lane as a driver, that's very hard to do. Once. he has done it twice. I think that second time was even more impressive. 10 laps to go. Ethan Lane that time was about a tenth of a second quicker. But at the rate he's gaining, it's going to be just barely enough. If Lariah can hold this pace, assuming that both of them hold their paces here and steadily slow down, which happens because of tires, then Lariah still has a very fair shot to win. I would say he has the advantage in that position. However, if Ethan Lane ends up gaining at any quicker of a rate, 0.2 of a second per lap, he will have the advantage from this point onward in catching up. Passing is a different story, but I think that's what it comes down to here. Lane was only 61 thousandths faster that time by. It's very bad news for him. 8 laps to go. Next up. 9 to go this time by. If Lariah can keep Lane's gains in the thousandths of a second, then he will have come home free. Michael Lariah has not come to victory lane since the Octane Series came to a close last year. So, I'll tell you this much. For him, he wants this win. And he really does need this win if he wants to go out there and prove he could fight for another championship. He has done a great job all throughout this season of being consistent, of being up there and trying to give it a good fight, even if he's not the dominant man of dominant men. He's 7th in the championship standings after all, which is indicative that, he's no doubt still with us as one of the best in the field. That's not a question. But I think maybe, in some small sense, he would have wished already that he had a victory to him. But of course, so far, that just hasn't come to be. I wouldn't be too surprised if it happens tonight, and I wouldn't be surprised if, even if he doesn't win today, it comes down the road. Lane has been really good, but he can't win every race. That's just a fact of the matter. It was Homestead, a 167-lap feature. That was Lariah's last win. Lane had to back out of the Octane Series Championship due to commitments with eNASCAR's Contender Series, and 2 weeks ago he made his eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series debut, and that was at the Chicago Street Course. So Lane, he's gotten his taste of the top level of sim racing, and on Tuesday nights he's still able to do this gig regularly. It's pretty wonderful. Michael Lariah, 6 laps to go. The pace is mellowed out, and Lane is no longer gaining. In fact, over the last 2 laps, he has lost 0.2 of a second overall. Jared Davis is dead side by side with Tom Wetmore. They're right at each other across the line. This is for 4th place. Hunter Madalenas has broken away for 3rd, but Davis is there with Wetmore, side by side. The top 5 is far from decided. Tricky now to see which of these guys are going to get it. It looks like it's going to be slightly advantage for Davis. I think he's got the pace advantage. Wetmore had the position, but I don't think Tom's going to have it to hold on the whole way. Both drivers slip up the track. Jared Davis, if he's not going to take a pole, he'll take the next best thing. Of course, not take a podium. He'll take the next best thing in 4th. Jack Drucker is side by side with Braxton DeWeese here. Braxton, who's been looking for the podium, he's been real close tonight, might have to settle just off the top 5. But he's going to fight as hard as he can to make sure Drucker doesn't knock him down any further pegs. Nick Tarbuck is right there too. That's going to drop DeWeese into P7. And if Tarbuck gets him, it'll be 7th to 8th for the 1 crew. It could go anyway so far. We've seen moves very quick in 5 laps. 5 laps can make a whole difference for a lot of drivers. Tom Wetmore looking to prove that again as he will go high side to Jared Davis. Doesn't quite get the run. Doesn't quite have the speed to make the move just yet. But he has gotten close and tries to set himself up again. Drucker still watches. He's got a pretty good view. Gap between top 2 drivers has expanded. Advantage Lariah. Jared Davis is right up to that high sidewall, and that is such a risk. I mean, if he scrapes that thing, the difference between him tearing it down and him perhaps hitting Tom Wetmore and just getting away is so small. I mean, it is ridiculously tiny, especially in the heat of the moment where you really don't know what moves you're going to make. Watch out, Wetmore getting ahead of Davis, and he'll take a spot. 3 laps to go, coming to 2 this time by. Jared opts for the bottom, but it doesn't look like he'll take the pass here. Instead, he will wash up. Drucker's right there with him. Oh, that was tight! It could have gone many ways there. Up to Drucker, down to Wetmore. They're side by side with 2 laps remaining. For the championship lead and 10th place, it's Dunhorst and Bresci, also going at each other. Some laps it's been Bresci's race, others it's been Dunhorst's. And they're still, after 109 laps, right at each other, looking to decide who ends up on top. When leader Lariah crosses the white flag, the race will be official. He comes across the start-finish line. Caution-free race, 1 lap to go. The white flag's out for Lariah. Jared Davis is still at it now with Tom Wetmore, but he slid back. Tom takes P4. Drucker's looking for it. Matthew Thunor still side by side with Thomas Bresci at the very same time. It has been 265 days and 265 nights since Michael Lariah last won in the Integrity Racing League. In holding off the series' best driver, round 25 will go to your defending Octane Series champ. Punch a ticket to the playoffs. Michael Lariah wins in Michigan. Wetmore hangs on for 4th. Matthew Dunhorst at the line barely beats his teammate. 7 thousandths of a second. And with that slight edge, Matthew will take a few extra points into his championship lead. Oh, what a finish for the top 10. And what a win for Michael Lariah. The last time he was in victory lane, he came home with a sim rig and a championship on that Homestead Nights. And he's proven to the Ignite field once and for all, he is not to be messed with. He is here to stay, and he is here to win. Michael Lariah looks to burn it down. Lariah collects his first checkered flag of the year. Last year, he was an Octane champ with 10 wins. It's his 11th ever in the Integrity Racing League. What a victory. 62 laps led, so to add to the victory, comes away with the most laps led in his best performance of the year outright. I would say it might just be his best ever race in this league. The caliber of driver he was going up against in Ethan Lane, who finished second. Lane went from 31st to second, by the way. What a race for him as well. Just coming 1 position short in that affair is remarkable. Hunter Madalenas plays the calm and quiet route to break out for 3rd. Tom Wetmore takes 4th. 5th goes Nick Tarbuck and Jack Drucker, P6, with Jared Davis, your pole sitter, in 7th. Braxton Deweese, 8th. 9th in Vinny Tigner, and 10th in Matthew Thunhorst. P11 just behind is 2nd in points. Thomas Bresci, 7 thousandths of a second is the difference between a sprinkle of bonus points for the 24 to the 8, and for JTM, Looks like the Aiden Thunderhorst again just barely gets it there. DJ Stagner finishes 12th with Cody Smith 13th, Jacob Fife 14th, and Elliot Henderson 15th. Nicholas Ward, Ronnie Osmer, Justin Morton, Tyler Hensley, and Matt Sisler conclude the top 20. Then from there, you'll have a few other drivers in mind. It's 21st and Josh Christman, Seb Miller 22nd, Sam Nieto 23rd, 24th Will Reichert, Casey Shue, in 25th. Then Steve Durham, Josh Gallagher, Blake Gordon, Gail Brooks, and Brandon Bernhardt, your top 30. 31st, Ryan Potter, Kyle Cooper, 32nd, Brent McClendon, 33rd, Boomer Logan, 34th, and Calvin Filarski, your 35th and final driver from the Michigan International Speedway. Wow, what a throwback it was. And Michael Araya, your winning man, is standing by as we speak, so we're going to hear from him first. Last year, between you and Ethan Lane, you guys came away with 24 wins. So in this 25th match, the first head-to-head in the Ignite Series, a caution-free race at Michigan. I mean, what a workout and what a fight. And it took every second and every lap for you, Michael, to win this one. Your first Ignite Series checkered flag. What a way to make it to victory lane.
Yeah, this feels great, David. Starting this race, I was kind of just in my own zone. I really didn't have much of a game plan tonight. I was just gonna kind of see what I had for speed, just try to hit my marks and not worry about too many other things. And it was a pleasant surprise to qualify as good as I did. That gave me a little bit of confidence to start the race. And then once we got going, I just felt like I was on rails on the short run there. And in the past, I've had some good runs at Michigan, but something would always go wrong, or caution would come out at an inopportune time. So, just being able to close the deal at this place means a lot. But just to get that first win too of this year in the series, man, I feel like the schedule has kind of aligned towards my strengths as of late, and I think I'm just a little bit more comfortable with this car now too. And so I've just been able to click off some really good runs as of late, but still coming up short stinks, and I wanted to get that win, but I'm so glad it happened tonight. But I didn't know if it was gonna happen there, because man, the way Ethan was driving up towards the front there, I knew he was gonna be the guy to beat. But what gave me a little bit of confidence, thinking maybe I had something for him tonight, was when he got up to me initially, on that first run to start the race, he didn't pull away from me, and after a few laps, I was able to reel him back in. So I knew I had something on the long run there, but it was just gonna depend on how the cycles fell with pit stops and distance, because there was parts in the run he was definitely quicker than me, and then of course other parts where I was quicker than him. So just at the end there, I knew I had to run qualifying laps the rest of the race there. That was my only shot with how good he is on the short run. I had to build up as much of a distance as possible, and then hope he was going to do everything he could to catch me and maybe burn off his tires a little bit. And I think that's what happened there at the end. And I was able to breathe a little bit the final 5 laps or so.
And the difference maker tonight was that natural strategy. Since we had no breaks in between, it was a 2 pit stop day. Both you, Ethan Lane, coming in relatively similar times. Something we noticed, though, is that both times you led into pit road and you had control as you were ahead both times in your entry. I think that was a really valuable thing for you to have, and we noticed on those long runs, you were able to pull right back up to him. But that final stint, it was shorter. Were you confident in making it back up and holding the lead?
I knew getting onto pit road, execution on that was going to be critical. Any kind of, well, I didn't want to give away any distance or throw the race away by speeding or, getting out of shape and losing time. But I knew I had to execute and get as optimal of a stop as possible, especially pulling into pit road. So I felt like I did a good job on that last stop, just trying to build up any kind of distance that I could there. And then it kind of just worked out in the way where Ethan, I could tell he was running a little bit lower line than I was throughout most of the green flag runs there. And that afforded him to save an extra lap of fuel, which I feel like is an advantage. Like even one lap means a lot at mile and halves and higher in length. And so I knew he was going to have a little bit of that tire advantage against me, but I knew that, coming in first, I could maybe build up a little bit of a gap. And then the other thing too is just making sure when I chose to pit as well, making sure that nobody was in front of me to impede my entry to pit road. And I had clean entries all night, which was key. But I think the final major factor in tonight with me being able to get this win was just the weather conditions and time of day. Um, it was a very hot and very slick track tonight, and that just suits my strengths. I mean, you were on edge in both ends of the track, and you were just trying to make sure that you were keeping the right rear from not kicking out underneath you, and that was key. You had to save the right rear tonight, and so you were really on edge, just trying to find that that point of grip where the tires are sliding underneath you, and trying to maximize absolute corner speed. So I mean, I think everybody was on edge tonight, and I was just trying to hold a pretty wheel through both ends of the track. And so I think Ethan and I, we both had it figured out tonight for sure. But glad I was able to come away with it tonight, and I think I led the most laps too. So extra bonus points as well. I wanted to dominate a race this season. I'm glad I was able to get it done.
Most laps led and a victory, and a great way to finally get that first in the Ignite Series. And in essence, that's going to punch that ticket to the playoffs here, and it proves you got the stuff to keep on winning. Now, the regular season is really close to coming to its end. Next is Portland. We've never been there before. How do you feel about taking your chances now as a winner to do it again?
It's gonna be tough. I have the track, but I haven't turned any laps on it yet. So definitely gonna have to put in some practice moving forward this week. But if it's something maybe similar to, let's say, a Sonoma, something a little bit more technical, I feel like I can be pretty decent there. If it's similar or closer to like a Watkins Glen, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult for me. But I think top 10 is, not out of the realm there. That's what I'm going to try to shoot for. If I can just do that, come away with a solid finish without, wrecking or getting into anybody, I'll call that a success.
Victory Lane back in action for the 44 team. You saw it 10 times in 2024, and now for the Ignite Series, you're back here in Michigan. Michael Araya, if you have anything else you'd like to add, the floor is yours.
Yeah, since it's been a while, I got to give a shout out to my sponsor, Sims Speed Shop, for being on board the car, picking up our first win of the season here. Of course, I got to give a shout out to you, David, for always doing a great job with the broadcast here. The admins of IRL for making things happen, and my teammate Sam Nieto. And it was just fun having a. Also, let me give a shout out to the league as a whole too. Going caution free as well. That's always impressive, and it made for a really fun race as well.
Michael Araya to victory lane in a tense battle, and every one of those 110 laps made the difference. Thank you for your time, Michael.
All right, thank you.
With Laraya on the move, very rarely this season has Ethan Lane found himself on the opposite side of the coin when it comes to a great battle for the win. Tonight was one of those cases, but I think it comes with that, I wouldn't say an excuse, but an amazing footnote to add. 31st to P2 under green, and you made up every one of those spots in the first 40 lap season. What a race, even if it wasn't a victory.
No, that was fun. A couple of the guys, I think it was Ward or someone, uh, was like, you know what, you should do last to first challenge this week. I'm like, all right, bet. It's Michigan. It's a wide racetrack. We should get plenty of green flag runs. Um, but yeah, no, Lariah was on another level tonight. I couldn't keep the right rear on it, which killed me in all three runs. He somehow managed to do that, and that's where he was finding time and grip.
With no cautions, that looked to be the difference maker. Now, we were wondering on the first run, it looked like, yeah, you found yourself a little bit shaky, but we thought that was just from going through the entire field. But it looks like on the second run, you found yourself behind Michael when you went to pit road. So was there anything you think you could have done with that tire saving that could have gone different, or was it just the way it was for how you were driving?
I really don't know. It's weird because the way I know, like the way Michigan is on here, usually it's bottom feeding both corners, but you could have done both tonight. It worked a little bit, but not to the extent, and I think that partially had to do with wind. Um, Especially through 3 and 4, that's where I was like mainly struggling to get back to the throttle. But yeah, no, I don't know if there was much I could do to catch Michael.
And it looks like even though the 44 crew got away, you were able to make it up again. 31st up to the lead in the opening stint. Was there any trouble with the, shall we say, was it clean air, dirty air an issue? Did you feel anything different about the tires when you were away from them compared to the first run? Or was it just business as usual?
I don't know. Dirty air was a little bit of a factor. I had no turn that first run once we got late into it. But yeah, I don't know. It was overall weird race, I would have to say, but a fun one at that. Slipping and sliding is one of the most fun things to do in these stock cars. And when you get to do it on iRacing, it's far and few between. You just gotta enjoy it, even if we don't come out on top.
Next comes our first ever trip to Portland. For the Integrity Ignite series, you're now firmly top 3 in points and on the up and up. Until then, though, Ethan, if you have anything else you'd like to leave us with, we'd love to hear it before we head for our first time to the Portland Road Circuit.
Yeah, looking forward to going to Portland. It's a fun little road course, quick lap times. So Hunter definitely I think will be quick next week. So I think we'll have to hold him off.
Ethan Lane and the number 6 team go P2 from the Michigan International Speedway. Any final shout-outs?
Just you, David, always putting on these broadcasts. Everyone over at Integrity. Fun race tonight, caution free. Definitely a good job by everyone.
31st to 2nd, Ethan Lane just 1 second off another victory on the campaign. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And interesting to note, Hunter, being so strong at those road courses, might just get himself another chance at victory next week. But until then, he puts himself back on the podium and plays the waiting game to get there. 12th up to 3rd. While you didn't quite go from the back of the field, Hunter, you made gains until it was all said and done to break out for a podium finish here in Michigan.
Yeah, didn't have the grip hacks that Michael Araya and Ethan Lane had, but good solid night for us tonight. Yeah, just had to be patient, work our way through the field, and came away with a good finish.
And it looked like patience meant more than ever in what was our longest green flag run of the entire calendar. 110 laps end to end. There was no stopping any of you guys out there. You made it through a little bit of traffic, so I'd like to first talk to you about that. How was it making your way to the upper portion of the field?
Passing wasn't that difficult. A lot of the guys that, qualified in front of me were mainly running the top lanes or a couple lanes above where I was running. So as the run went on, the rear tires kept getting cooked off. So guys that specifically ran the bottom for the entire run, seemed like we were able to get power down more on exit. So, that helped me on that first run. I get up to like 8th and stuff like that, and then I've ran other leagues here, in the truck. I've ran a truck series race here, and I just know tires are such an important thing. That I just wanted to stay out, let the car run out of gas basically every run, and it worked. The first run went from I think 8th to we were racing for the top 5, and then that second run everyone pitted kind of with 2 laps of fuel left. I decided I was just going to run it all the way out, have 2 lap fresher tires, and it seemed to work out because I could abuse those tires while they were kind of being conservative with them.
Final breakout on that final stint, and you were able to clear about a second and a half when it mattered most. Now, interesting, because Ethan Lane pointed us toward this realization. Next week is a road course, and he figured that you might be one of the strongest guys to go out there at Portland when we go there for the very first time in Ignite Series history. You've proven one of the most impressive guys at the twists and turns so far. Maybe a chance to back that up?
Yeah, I mean, me and him are one-on-one for road courses. I have the Roval. He has, was it the Glen? Yeah, the Glen. I was second at the Glen. I was right on him there, so he's not miles ahead. So we obviously have a shot at a road course. It's a road course too that I feel like some guy, like, it's a brand new to iRacing, so a lot of guys are going to go in there with kind of questions. I've ran a couple laps there. It's pretty difficult road course. It's going to be really difficult to pass, so qualifying is going to really mean everything. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. When ever we get a chance at a road course, I know I'm normally pretty strong there.
Well, we're just a week away from going back to Portland, of course, back as a road course anyway. But until we take that trip across the country, third place for you, Hunter, today. Any final shout-outs you'd like to send? It's all yours.
Yeah, just shout out to everyone watching. I know I had a couple of my friends and my girlfriend watching. Thanks to you for putting on these broadcasts. I love going back and watching it. Just everyone at Ignite for bringing me in.
Hunter Madalenas, P3 on today from Michigan, and a late break pulls the 07 team up to a firm third. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, David.
Now, Hunter might be the man to watch next week again. He's toe-to-toe with Ethan Lane statistically at the road courses, but round 25 of what has been a back-and-forth battle across multiple series did not disappoint. Ethan Lane put the work in and went overtime to go 31st up to second, but Michael Araya had him beat. And I don't know if either of them expected this outcome. Really, it could have gone either way, but Michael Araya was able to get that final bobble out of Lane, and I think that was the move that made the difference. The final mistake just before going to pit road, that's what sold it for Lane. That's what made it Michael Araya's first Ignite Series win. And what a high to ride, as we are now only 3 races away from the regular season's conclusion. First of this final 3-race tour, it's going to be Portland for the very first time. A road course we have never visited on FTN, and the Ignite Series has never gone there as well. So it will be a day of firsts next week, Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until then, tune in tomorrow with the Integrity Octane Series at Atlanta. It's going to be a nice race to watch. It's always going to be crazy in Atlanta, but it will be worth your while. Tune in tomorrow night, Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on FTN Broadcasting to see more. Until then, I've been your host, commentating and producing David Kreutz on FTN Broadcasting. Congratulations to Michael Araya for his first win of the 2025 Ignite Series season. You've been watching coverage of the Integrity Ignite Series at Michigan, race number 18 on the tour. Thank you for your time, and we hope you have a fantastic night.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
Welcome to the Underdog Racing Podcast, where we talk to NASCAR drivers from all over the great country of America. Each week, we chat about the latest races, share stories from the track, and get to know the drivers behind the wheel. We break down the action, hear from drivers about their experiences, and dive into what drives them to keep racing. Whether you're a longtime NASCAR fan or just curious about the sport, this is the place for you. So tune in to the Underdog Racing Podcast, your inside look at the world of NASCAR. Catch us every Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.